So welcome to Alumni Experiences. I'm Sarah Fuller with SFA's Arthur Temple College of Forestry and Agriculture. The goal of our Alumni Experience series is to catch up with our friends and recent alumni, learn more about their career journey, and gain insight and advice that may benefit our current and prospective students. So today we're joined by Amy Camp. Amy earned both a Bachelor and a Master of Science in Environmental Science from SFA. Currently, she is an environmental investigator for the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality based in Tyler, Texas. So welcome, Amy.
Good morning.
Well, so this is kind of a two-part question. When did you learn about the field of environmental science, and then what prompted you to choose this career path?
I don't think I really knew that much about environmental science, at least under the name environmental science, until I took AP Environmental Science when I was in high school. And my teacher actually got a biology degree from SFA, and that really put SFA on the map for me. I hadn't really considered it, not for any particular reason, just I really thought I wanted to go to medical school before I took this environmental science class. And then I realized how difficult medical school would be. I've just always enjoyed being outdoors, and I've really kind of had a conservation mindset of enjoying recycling and wanting to take care of the outdoors. And as soon as I took that class and realized how much I enjoyed all of the topics, and my teacher liked SFA and she was passionate about the subject, thank you, Eunice Morton at Pine Tree ISD. And ever since then, that pretty much changed my career path.
Awesome. Well, so you mentioned medical school is rigorous, but I was going to say, so our environmental science program, I mean, it's known for its rigorous nature that, you have to take courses like organic chemistry and environmental soil science. What advice would you give to students to kind of help them balance these course loads on top of, all their other responsibilities?
I might be the best and worst person to ask that question to, because I took organic chemistry 3 times while I was at SFA.
We appreciate honesty.
Yes. Honestly, I was the kind of student who, excelled pretty easily through high school. And, you take some of those freshman courses in college and I'm like, this isn't that hard. I can, cram the night before and things like that. And that did not work, especially when I got to organic chemistry. And it's very cliche advice, but just staying on top of it is the best thing that you can do. So many of these courses build upon themselves. And so if you miss something, in the middle, between, you might only have a midterm and a final. And so if you don't pay attention that much between those two things, you miss a lot. And so you just have to mature a little bit and learn how to prioritize those things. And you might have to fall on your butt a little bit before you figure that out. And that happened to me twice, which is really still bothers me to this day that I did that. That's very unlike me to do. But it was a learning experience. And as much as I hated failing, it taught me a lot, and it helped me keep up with other courses better after I made that initial mistake.
Yeah, I think that's something that we all kind of forget, that, part of the failing process is learning and growing from that. So well, so now at TCEQ, what are your duties? What does a typical day in the life of Amy Camp look like?
Well, it's changed a lot since I started working, mainly because of COVID and stuff. But the things that I do look a lot the same. Really, it just depends on kind of if I'm in the office that day or if I'm in the field that day. So I may have 1 or 2 days a week that I go in the field, and then the rest is just kind of writing reports, sending emails, maybe talking to complainants or regulated entities. There's really just 2 types of work that we do when it comes down to it. We have work that the EPA requires us to do each fiscal year, and then we have kind of like complaint-driven work and other things that come up that are done on an as-needed basis. So I know going into every fiscal year, I've got certain wastewater plants that I've got to do an inspection on this year. I know that that's coming, but along the way, depending on weather and construction and a lot of different things, we may get people call in to tell us about environmental activity that's going on, and we would go investigate that as needed. And so the biggest part of my job is related to sewage. So making sure wastewater treatment plants are following all the rules that are outlined in their permit. And then we get a lot of calls about, failing septic tanks, manholes and lift stations in towns that are running over, even, dammed up creeks that are flooding properties and things like that. So that's really the biggest part of it.
Yeah, yeah. So now as a professional in your field, are there things you wish you had known to focus on or take advantage of as an undergrad?
I really do wish those first couple of years I had, either worked on campus with the forestry department or actually done an internship. I never had a true internship in any of my time in college. And I kind of wish that I had. And I really, as a freshman, sophomore, junior, especially, I really still felt like I had a lot of time left. And those were the times in my life when I've had the fewest responsibilities and would have had the easiest time to get away and do an internship. Even if it did only pay minimum wage, I didn't have that much to pay for at that time. And I could have pulled it off. And I just didn't. I did other things. I went home. I, maybe took some trips and worked some jobs. And I didn't take advantage of that. And I wish that I had.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, so speaking of taking advantage of some of the things that we have here on campus, we have a robust set of professional organizations and different opportunities to attend professional conferences. And, even though this provides ample opportunities to network with professionals in the field, that can be really intimidating. So how would you recommend students build confidence in communicating with potential employers when the opportunity presents itself?
I actually learned a lot about this in my time at SFA, mostly as a grad student, actually. I did go to a conference in San Juan, Puerto Rico with SFA in 2016.
Oh, wow.
So not to get ahead of myself, but that is one of the best opportunities I had at SFA, and that was really great. And so I did meet a lot of employers there. And even in some of the research I did with Dr. Williams, we worked with like some consulting firms and things like that. And honestly, I think the biggest thing is that you just need to have a little perspective and give yourself a little grace. Those people know that you're a student. They're not expecting you to know everything and, be an expert in your field at 21 or whatever. They know who you are, and they were there at one point too. And especially if this is someone that you're considering as an employer or is considering you, to be hired, that person might be your coworker. They might be your peer, not even your manager or your boss. There are a lot of people I work with who are much older than me, who aren't in charge of me in any way, shape, or form. And so really just moving into the, work field, like I realized I was going to have to communicate with people a lot older than me. And college doesn't really teach you that. You're in a lot of classes with, although forestry, it's a little different. There are a lot of older students that you interact with. But in general, your classes are really young students, all kind of in your same stage of life. And so it's not till you get out there that you're like, oh, like I'm working with people the same age as my parents. And it's not weird, you just, if you relax a little bit and just get to know them and just do your work, it's really not that bad. And if you're talking to an employer who, is weird about you being a student or is difficult to communicate with, they may not be the best person to work for anyways. And so just try not to be nervous and just think about who you are and know what you do know, because you do learn a lot, especially in the forestry college. And we know a lot more than we think we do. Even getting out into my field, I was really appreciative of a lot of stuff that I did learn and remembered moving into my job.
Awesome. So you mentioned the conference in San Juan. Do you have a favorite memory? It sounds like that was a really, really cool opportunity.
That's definitely one of them. That was one of the funnest things I ever did. And I also got to present my own wetland research, which was really cool. But I spent 7 years at SFA, and so there's a lot of great memories. My current best friends are pretty much all people I met at SFA. I met my husband there. I got married right across the street from the forestry building. I worked as a TA for several years, and I really enjoyed that. So especially those grad school years, I really had some great opportunities and did a lot of fun things that I really miss sometimes. So
yeah, well, you're not too far away. Well, and you come back too. Yeah,
I was just there last week.
Yeah, with our career fair. So it's great that we still get to see you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon. I hope you have a great day.
Sure, I will.